Hi guys, it's Kaz and today I'm going to be talking about the books I would like to read in the month of June. So this month I have quite a few read-along book club books and I'm also participating in a couple of readathons. So much is happening, a lot of great books that I'm very excited about. Let's jump straight into it, why don't we? I'll begin first with the books that I am hoping to read this weekend. To clarify, this took me about a week to get around to editing, so I'm talking about the weekend of June 5th and 6th. I'm participating in the 24-hour Pride readathon that Chloe, Kevin, Caitlin and Jamie are running, so we're right in the middle of it right now. And I've just finished listening to an audiobook of Once Ghosted, Twice Shy, a novella by Alyssa Cole. So these are part of the Reluctant Royals series, and yeah, romance novellas surrounding some characters that are royalty. And I really enjoyed Once Ghosted, Twice Shy. The other book that I'm currently in the middle of is Come Tumbling Down by Seanan McGuire, the 5th book in the Wayward Children series, which is a series of companion novellas. And I'm honestly shocked that I haven't picked this up before now, because it's following the storyline of Jack and Jill, who we see a lot of in books 1 and 2 in the series, and I really enjoyed their storyline, so I'm really excited to be back in this world here. This is such a wonderful series. I highly recommend them, and there is a really diverse cast of characters too in terms of the queer representation in this in particular. Well, there's a female-female relationship, there's a trans character, but I think that's about it for the characters that I've met or been reacquainted with so far. For this weekend as well, I think I'm also going to start reading Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. I've just heard wonderful things about this, and I think we have a Latinx trans main character who tries to do a ritual to, I think, summon the ghost of his cousin, but instead summons Julian Diaz, the school's resident band boy. I've just heard brilliant reviews of this book. Very excited to get into it. It's gonna be a good time. There is also the 48-hour Queer Blackathon edition of the Blackathon readathon, and I'm going to be participating in that as well. I think my main priority for the Queer Blackathon is going to be the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. Funnily enough, last year's Queer Blackathon edition, I was reading The Obelisk Gate, I believe, and now I'm going back to book 1. This is going to be a reread for me because the book club that I co-host, called The Name of the Book, is reading the 5th season, and we're going to be talking about it at the end of June on my channel, and I'm so excited about it because if you haven't heard me talk about N.K. Jemisin before, this is a masterpiece. This is brilliant, superb, absolute perfection, and I'm very excited to be rereading it. But it starts with the rift, which tears across the entire continent and is spewing poisonous gas and ash, and is basically kind of the start of the end of the world. And we follow a woman who, whilst this is all starting to happen, she comes home to find that her son has been murdered and her daughter and husband are missing, and she goes in search of them. We see, I think this is the first book that I've seen with a polyamorous relationship. I meant to say first book that I've read. I do know of other books with polyamorous relationships that I haven't yet had a chance to read. There's an absolutely brilliant trans character in here as well. There's just so much wonderfulness in this series, and I would highly recommend it. Though there is a lot of really heavy stuff in here, so definite trigger warnings. I'll have them included in the link in the description. Check those if you wanted to take a look and see if anything is potentially triggering for you. But if you feel comfortable reading this, would recommend it. Would also recommend sticking it out. When I read this, I was incredibly confused. The first 150 pages, I had no idea what was going on, but it all does eventually click, and it's all wonderful. The other book that I'm going to be focusing on for the Queer Blackathon is Felix Ever After by Kacen Callender. I might give this a go on audio potentially, I will see, but I've heard wonderful things about this book as well. So this is about Felix Love, who is black, who is trans, and starts receiving anonymous transphobic messages from another student, and basically comes up with a plan for revenge. Love the sound of that. Keen to give that a go. There is also a buddy read for the Queer Blackathon, which I'm going to see if I have time for. I will be focusing mostly on the 5th season just because I do need to read that for my book club, and it's quite a dense book. It's 450 pages, so if I have the chance, I will see if I can get around to the group book, which is Sorrowland by Rivers Solomon. My throat's starting to hurt from all the talking and my cold. From what I can gather, it is about cults, and it also says there's some body horror. There's a woman who escapes a religious compound while she's very heavily pregnant, and she gives birth to twins, and my battery's going to die soon. I've heard brilliant things about River Solomon as an author, and I've always wanted to try one of their books, so perhaps I will have the chance to do that in June. The last two books I'm going to be talking about, I'm sure I've mentioned quite a few times. Maybe, have I? Perhaps? I think I mentioned these in my May TBR. Possibly. Caliban's War by James S.A. Corey, the second book in the Expanse series, which is a grand sci-fi series. In a nutshell, basically something mysterious and strange and terrifying happens, which results in a bit of a war across the galaxy. Really enjoyed the first book in this series. Very excited to continue. I have started reading this already, and we will be doing a live show for this. We don't have a date yet, but I'll leave a link to the Twitter account for the read along if you're interested and want to know a bit more. You can stay tuned for announcements and stuff. And the last book I have on my list is Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. So I'm also a part of a read along for the Stormlight Archive, but before we get to Rhythm of War, we decided to finish the Mistborn trilogy because thanks to a lot of the links within the Cosmere, there's some information that you learn about in the last part of the Mistborn trilogy that will pop up in Rhythm of War apparently. So we decided to read these before we get to Rhythm of War so we can pick up on those connections. So I adored The Final Empire. Adored it, and I have started reading Well of Ascension already. I'm only about 65 pages into it, but I'm excited to continue it, see what happens. I don't know, I'm slightly terrified, but there's a lot of great things in store for me this month. Excited for all the chunky fantasies and sci-fis, excited for all the queer literature. Are you guys participating in any readathons as well? Would love to know. I need to update my calendar. It's been a hot minute since I've had time and energy to do that, but do let me know if there's anything exciting you're doing this month and what books are you most excited to read. I couldn't pin it down to one book of these that I'm very excited by a lot of them, and I've heard such brilliant things. I've got to go. My battery's dying. My pizza's getting cold. My throat hurts. So I'll see you next time. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you in the comments. Bye!